Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 8th Lucid Dreaming Q&A. This is Skyfall Blind Dreamer. Hello, everyone. Let's see. We have 8 viewers already. Goal is to get over 12. Over 12. Want to break my concurrence. Let me just edit my live chat settings. There we go. Get the live chat mode. There we go. Now I can watch all the messages. I'm not noob more. Hello, welcome. Everyone, just typical house rules real quick. This is the 8th Lucid Dreaming Q&A stream. If you are not a member or subscribed to the Skyfall Blind Dreamer YouTube channel and you would like to be updated when there are events or live streams or spontaneous stuff like this, or my videos come out, please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. At the end of the stream, if you found this content helpful or your questions are answered, or you found this useful if you're watching it after it's been completed, I would appreciate you hitting the like button. Now that's out of the way, just a quick reminder to those who are in attendance at the moment, slow mode is in effect. This is a feature, not a bug. As I am blind, that helps me to keep up with messages and to prevent spam, because spam just detracts from someone's legitimate and serious questions and makes it harder for me to actually keep up. So that's not fair to other people. Thank you, everyone, and let's get into it. Liam Chu, welcome. You were so hyped to join. Thank you so much. Ginger That Cat, hello, welcome. So what we're doing Lucid Dreaming Q&A live stream. If you have any lucid dreaming questions, this is the place to ask them. For at least the next hour, I will be answering the lucid dreaming questions put forward by my audience. These are members of the Dream Cafe and Omni Lucid Discord servers, as well as my subscribers who may be able to pay attention to the fact that I've started streaming. That usually sends out notifications to people if they have notifications turned on. Oh, and I'm not noob more's going. Bye. That's unfortunate. Hello, Jacover. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad we got some Aussies on here. Hello. Supernova, greetings. Liam Chu, what is the best way to change schemas? Honestly, that's a tough one. Honestly, sometimes some people recommend different things. One of the things I like to do is to do drilling practice things I want to actually happen and do, and just associate the action I want to take with the result I want to get. And I do this a lot with mild practice, for example, like imagining what I want to do while lucid. I'll drill my schemas for like flying and teleporting, for example, and what I want to actually happen, so that when I do it, it's a natural thing. It's what I most strongly associate. And some of that's emotional too, like just being able to understand the effect that your emotions are having on a situation. If you're like anxious or nervous or doubtful, though that can have an impact as well. So understanding the role your emotions play and what emotions you're experiencing, I find that calming myself before trying to do something usually helps, because I don't have that lingering doubt there, and if I'm more decisive in my actions, then I more strongly expect that I will succeed in what I'm doing, and that plays a role as well. So those are just a few things that I do. But yeah, I've had some schema issues for over a year. I've had several, and started with getting 30-second lucids, for example, and internalizing that to the point where I was just expecting them to end really quickly, and that was just terrible. And I've finally gotten over that, but I still don't get many over 10 minutes. I had a really long while, though, long by my standards, it was over 10 minutes. I want to say 3 days ago. Ended with me turning my house phone into a hand grenade and throwing it and jumping in the air and flying. That was pretty fun. What is my opinion on daytime practice, as you don't think they're worth it for the extra daytime use? It depends on the practice in question, honestly. So I do think criticality practices or awareness practice can have an effect. I think they are supplementary and not primary. I think that daytime practices are secondary to nighttime practices. That night practice should always be primary, but that day practice helps. So it helps with some of those fundamentals. It helps with your criticality. If you're doing a daytime criticality practice, if you're throughout the day, you're actually considering whether or not you're dreaming, you're going through your memories, you're thinking about what you've done, you're looking for anything that doesn't make sense in any way, you're questioning that you're dreaming whether or not you're dreaming throughout the day. That can help. Or an awareness practice in a similar way, but differently, like being aware of your sensory experience, what you're doing, or what's going on around you, and the effect that your actions are having. Some of those things can be helpful. It's not something you have to keep up all day long, but just like throughout the day, maybe sometimes just if you notice something, get in the habit of going, okay, well, am I dreaming right now? Because I could be, so am I? Just getting to that habit can kind of help a little bit, but not like doing it habitually, but being mindful about it. I mean, the word mindful comes up a lot, and it's really appropriate for lucid dreaming practice. Being aware of what you're experiencing in the moment, being critical of it. That's sort of that thing. Pilot hyper. Hello, are you a pilot or are you hyper or both? I don't know if that's a really good combination on a plane. Hello there. How can I more efficiently do SSILD? I feel like I always do cycles quality less. Um, I'm not sure what you mean by quality less, but how can you do it more effectively? Honestly, I don't really do SSILD. It's actually not one I have experience with. I know the basic underlying theory for it, but I don't have any actual experience doing it much because it's not really something I really enjoy doing. And so it's not really something I do. So as far as doing it though, it's like going through your senses, and like some people recommend doing, long cycles. Like, you first you do some short ones and then you do longer ones. Some people just say do short cycles and do several of those and then call it a night. Really depends, honestly. I don't really have an opinion on it one way or the other, but it's basically, using that sort of when I was talking about sensory awareness a little bit earlier, you're being aware of your senses, and it's a combination of that and also dissociation in a way. I mean, like Sensei talks about using it for he uses it for dissociation, like to dissociate. And the way that works is you're thinking about something strongly, and then you shift the focus to something else, and then you stop noticing that and you dissociate from that. Like that's sort of what he does. He uses that as a way to somewhat dissociate, which is interesting. I think he has a unique perspective there, and I say unique because like the normal SSILD guides don't actually um, mention that. But it's an interesting perspective, and it's one that I actually appreciate. As far as me though, I don't really do it, but practice kind of helps get an idea, because you will get like distracted, probably doing it. Like if you're doing it for long cycles, you'd likely, and of course you're doing it with way back to bed, you probably will end up getting distracted at some point. And also remember that it's not something you just sit there and do forever. Like if you just keep getting distracted, at some point you will need to go to bed, and you should be falling asleep at some point. But it's sort of like getting you aware of what of your senses and things like that as you're falling asleep, like before you fall asleep. Not necessarily, Jacover. I'm a perfectionist, as you should know by now. I mean, you've heard me give directions after all. I mean, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I don't follow the exact that 80-20 method specifically. I have specific things that I do. Elemental, what method do I like using to go to another place? Want to experiment with traveling to other places, but I can't decide between portals, doors, just blinking, etc. I have used several in varying states of lucidity. When I say varying states of lucidity, I mean like varying levels of memory of what I wanted to do or actions that I could take. And some worked really well, some haven't, and some just fluctuate. I am a Star Trek fan, so I've done a lot of Star Trek transporter, beamed myself into places, like just physically dissociated from one place and associated to another. And I've gotten that to work many times now. I've jumped in the air and flown to a few places. If flying doesn't wake me up, then I can use it to like get somewhere. I still have a schema issue with flying, something I'm working on. I've Harry Potter apparated. That's actually really fun. You just basically like turn on a spot and just disapparate. You move not with haste, but with deliberation. Um, I'm just like quoting bits from Half Blood Prince where they teach them how to apparate. Yeah, I've done that before. That's kind of cool. I just like instantly teleport to another spot. I've done that when being chased in non-lucids too, like just Harry Potter apparated away from enemies and stuff. So I've done that in non-lucids too. It's actually kind of fun. But just pick something that you can resonate with. So, for example, if there's an anime or a TV show or a sci-fi or fantasy novel or fiction that has some form of teleportation, and it's something that you find interesting and can relate to, do that. Retics not found. Hello. Hey, Skyfall. Recently, I've been having problems with natural awakenings for wake back to bed. The first 3 days I used auto suggestion and it worked fine, but then it stopped working for me. Well, keep in mind when you're setting an intention to wake up naturally, retics, um, basically it's a decision, just like any other intention. It's a decision. It's something that you are deciding now to do, And actually, I listened to LaBerge recently, and he talked about setting intentions and perspective memories, and he says something that I actually agree with because it's something that I've even told other people that I do and that I like. When you're setting intention, make a plan. Plan what you want to do. So you're setting intention to wake up naturally, okay, and then you are planning to do something with that. So make a plan. Okay, so I'm going to wake up naturally. I'm going to do this. Here are the things I'm going to do. I'm doing this because I'm going to do this. And you can also do something to help you with that place. So say you want to wake up for recall, for example, you can put whatever you're using for a dream journal, or whether it's like your phone or tablet or something, you can put that next to your bed. You can do something like that to get you thinking, okay, so as soon as I wake up, I'm going to delve for dreams, and then I'm going to note down whatever dreams I remember. You can do things like that. Having a plan. Okay, so I'm going to wake up and do X technique or whatever techniques I want to do. I want to have X number of wakings per night or something like that. You can do something like that. Like make a plan for how you want to use your wakings. I find that helps. That can help too. I've never really had to experiment with this personally, just because I'm such a light sleeper that I notice my wakings on default because I'm awake for a lot longer than most people are during them generally. So I notice them by default as I'm a light sleeper. So I've never really had that problem. But yeah, if you're doing auto suggestion, and like if you're doing that and then you stop seeing it as a decision and you just do it as something to do, it's not, it's as effective as your desire to do it and your motivation to do it, your decision to do it, and how important that is to you. The more important a decision and intention is, the more likely you are to do it. I set an intention last night to live stream around 3 o'clock. Today, I ate lunch really late, around 2, so I decided to push it back to 3:30. But I ended up getting my butt over here and getting on this live stream because I set intentions to do that yesterday. ASD Gamer Beth, that was very enlightening. Not. Hello, Pilot Hyper. I mean that I can't focus fully on the sense. Okay, so like you try to, so for example, like if you're trying to imagine what you're hearing or seeing, like for example, I'm blind, but like if you could try to visualize, a place that you've been or somewhere, or just remember what something has looked like in the past, or even if you get lights behind your eyes, just like focus on those or just pay attention to those. And then with like hearing, maybe you don't hear anything. Maybe you hear like that a little ringing in your ear if there's like just silence around. Maybe you hear a fan if there's a fan on in the room. Touch should be the easiest. You can feel the covers on you. You can feel the bed, the pillow, all of that stuff. Like that should be the easiest one, honestly. It's just noticing those sensations and then switching between them. Yeah, I'll try not to make you black out, Jacover. I won't make any promises. Gamerboth, what techniques do? I do mild, and occasionally I wild. Like I think I have 1 or 2 wilds last week. I'm big mild that. I do it every night. iPlays, you got Lucid last night. Congrats, bro. Nice. Tried to teleport to a different world. You slowly woke up. Rerushing things, you did not interact with your environment at all. Here's my question, actually. Were you nervous about it? Were you anxious about it? Were you doubting that? Were you, did you have any apprehension about what you were doing? It sounds like it's something maybe you haven't really done before or done much of, so you really hadn't thought it out how it would go or what it would be like, and you tried to do it, and then maybe you were nervous or apprehensive about it. Can you describe how you were feeling at the time when you were trying to do it? And honestly, if you're waking up slowly, here's something to keep in mind, iPlays, and this is for everyone on the stream. If you're waking up slowly and naturally from a dream, weaponize this. Don't wake up fully and just DEILD, or DEILD as we call it. DEILD, that's dream exit initiated lucid dream. So if you are waking up like that, just don't move, keep your eyes closed, and just think about the dream you were just waking up from. And because it's such a relaxed and slow waking, like what you're just having, iPlays, those are the easiest to just re-enter a dream immediately from. I've done this many times. Sensei's done this billions of times. Not billions of times, but he's done this a lot. DEILD chaining is a way to extend lucid dreams and to get back into them. And it really is a very opportunistic and specific circumstance. You're waking directly from a dream. It's a natural waking, not a alarm waking, because those tend to be more startling. Alarm waking is more akin to, you get up and you try doing, and you go and do wild, versus this is a type of wild, but it's specifically weaponizing that liminal state. Like you're not fully waking up yet, and you're falling back asleep into a dream. Harry Potter apparition is awesome, Elemental. I love it. Test 1, hello. My pleasure, Retic's not found. I do hope so. Hope you are able to get that figured out. My pleasure, GamerBath. Test 1, how portals works in lucid dreams. Great. Grammar there, but no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, however you expect them to. That's how everything works. How X works in a lucid dream. X works in a lucid dream, however you most strongly associate it with working and expect it to work, and based on how you are feeling at the time, your emotions. So what are your feelings about it? That is if you just replace X with anything whatsoever, that is how everything in dreams works. JK LIOP. Oh my goodness. JK Leo, all caps. Oh my gosh, that's a tongue twister right there, my friend. Got your first Lucid this week after 3 weeks from SSILD. Congratulations on your first Lucid. I always love hearing people talking about getting their first Lucids. It's an amazing feeling, isn't it? It's always cool to be able to recognize that you're dreaming, and just share that with other people, because it's really good encouragement when you're able to actually recognize that. Because when you're first recognizing that you're dreaming, it's such an alien state to you generally, because it's something you haven't really experienced much before for most people. And it is, for me, it's a wondrous experience to actually be able to recognize that. The second time I got lucid was actually the time I really recognized it most plainly. And I couldn't go back to sleep. It was 8 in the morning. And even back then, I wasn't even getting up till 11:30, usually 11. And I was on Discord and I was shouting to the rooftops. I had to tell someone. It's amazing. Liam Chu, what do I do in my usual mild practice? I usually go through the dreams from the night before and mild with them. If you are curious about my specific mild practice, I have a guide on skyfalldreams.net. That's my website. My mild guide is based on my mild practice. The example I give is actually from my 174th Lucid. So it gives some perspective there on how I sort of go about it. But basically, as for me, it's, I have an intention. That's a decision to recognize that I'm dreaming in my dream. So that's an intention. That's a decision. So I decide I'm going to do that. And then I go into a dream that I've had. All right. I go through it and I try to pick out anything out of place. Okay. So I was playing this game last night, a Star Trek game in a dream. And we were being fired upon by torpedoes. And this is a mud game, by the way. It's a text-based game, the kind that blind people can play more effectively. And we got hit, and I actually heard explosion sounds coming from the game, except the game doesn't have a sound pack. All right, that's a dream sign. I go back looking through, and things just don't look right. Things don't look exactly right. And you go, hey, okay, so what does that mean? It means that I'm dreaming. And then I recognize that I'm dreaming. Okay, so I know I'm dreaming now. What is it that I want to do? Well, I'm sitting in front of my computer at my desk playing this game, but what do I actually do? I want to teleport to my PR starship, Star Horizon. So I'm playing a Star Trek game, and I'm big on Star Trek, so I call up my Star Trek transporter schema, lock source destination. I want to go to the bridge. That's compartment 050000, energize, and then beam myself over to the starship. Now I'm standing on the bridge. I walk up and I sit in the seat that I call my cognition throne, which I haven't really done much with yet. Activate the telepathic interface and take over helm control, and then activate a subspace tunneling protocol and jump over to another galaxy. Right? So that's an example of my practice. I was looking through my dream. I think about my intention to recognize that I'm dreaming. I'm picking out dream signs, anything that's out of place in any way, and then I pick one of those and I recognize, hey, all right, so that means that I am actually dreaming. I think about what I want to do while lucid. I go into some detail and then repeat the process, usually for about 15 to 20 minutes. That's what I do. Oh, and yes, the dream I used was actually one that I had last night, except for the actual teleporting to my spaceship stuff. That's what I actually want to do. Have I read any lucid dreaming books other than Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming? As you covered, no, I have not. Supernova, can I explain how SSILD works? I actually did a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if you heard, but basically it works by aware. It's basically like a nighttime version of an awareness practice. You're thinking about your senses. You're engaging sensory awareness, but in cycles of sight, sound, and touch. And then Sensei actually does it, like I said, in a way it sort of dissociates his senses. But in the normal case, you're sort of focusing on each sense, you're being aware of them, and you have this heightened awareness as you enter a dream, which is conducive to lucidity. That's sort of how SSILD works. I mean, Sensei actually jokingly calls it magic, which is I find pretty funny, but that's sort of how SSILD works. So you haven't really tried doing it before, okay? I plays games. I'm reading your comment now. So yeah, I haven't really tried teleporting to a fantasy world before. I wasn't doubting myself at all. I was quite calm. The dream felt more like an imagination, but it was definitely a dream. Okay, and you're confirming that you actually did start waking up. Now, when you started feeling like you were waking up, had you actually woken up yet, or were you still in the dream? I'm trying to get an idea for what experience might have happened or what might have actually triggered that experience. So I'm curious on that front because you try to teleport. What happened like after you what happened exactly after you tried to do? And are you picking something that you've heard of before? Is like are you just creating your own teleportation method, or is it something um whatever feels like the most natural, honestly, or the most likely that you think it would work is what I would generally go with. It can be something spontaneous, or it can be something that comes up from a TV show or a movie or something like that. Do I have any PRs? Actually, the description from Mild earlier, I haven't visited my PR much, but it's called Zardonia. I maintain it in my head. It's based on this 50-mile long by 5-mile wide, 500-deck starship called ZSS Star Horizons Titan-class supercarrier. It is the flagship of the Zardonia Defense Forces, member of the Intergalactic Federation of Peacekeepers. And my character's position on that ship is the Regent Governor of the Zardonian Defense Force and the planet Zardonia. We have 24 Peacekeeper-class cruisers, 100 Guardian-class escort frigates, and 11,760 starfighters. And basically, the whole purpose of the Intergalactic Federation of Peacekeepers is to prevent or to stop transgalactic and intergalactic wars. So our ships are so powerful that one task force is able to contend with an entire intergalactic race, which by themselves are really, really powerful species usually. When you control your dream, you freak out. Okay. Yeah, those emotional responses can cause like if you've had any adverse effects from that, the emotional responses can actually and do actually tend to influence schema that way and can cause some of those adverse effects. Um, yeah, like freaking out. I'm really excited when I control my dreams, or I like to be. I like to have fun. I like to tell physics to screw off because that's really fun, and just do things that you can't do while awake, like blind person flying an airplane and putting 5 jet engines on a Cessna 172. Is generally something you would not be able to do while awake in any sense, and that's where I usually have the most fun. My pleasure, Supernova. Okay, so you imagine what would be there and expect it to happen. Were you engaging your other senses while you were doing this? Like, were you engaging your tactile, auditory senses as well? Eye plays. Let's see here. Wow, guys, can't believe it. Actually caught up. I actually, we're down to 4 people, guys. Guys, tell all your friends that we are doing a Q&A live stream. If anyone has any questions they would like answered, if you're seeing people in the Lucid Dreaming chat on Discord, Dream Cafe, or the questions and answers or dream discussion chats on OmniLucid, whichever server you are on, if there are people who are having any questions or what you think might be interested in joining, please let them know and send them a link because the more people, the merrier. Okay. You were not actually engaging your other senses. Yeah, that could be it. Like if you fully dissociated and from your dream, like if you fully dissociated, if you weren't actually engaging your other senses, and then you were trying to associate with somewhere else and you failed to do so, yeah, I can see sort of how you woke up from that. So yeah, full dissociation from the dream can do that. Yeah, just paying attention to what you're doing is a really good idea. In my view, that's sort of what leads to that misconception that closing your eyes waking you up, because it's not actually closing your eyes that does that. It's just fully dissociating at all, like from your dream, that can do that. Like that's a little different. But that is sort of what gives rise to that bad schema misinfo. So when you do SSILD, how long do you need to do that? Honestly, I think it can vary. Some say do it for like do several cycles and do them for like maybe 15, 20 seconds each. Some say do long ones, do them like 30 or 40. I do do like several short ones and then several long ones and do the long ones for like 40 seconds. It really depends, honestly. I don't have a specific answer on that. Different people interpret it different ways. I'd say just experiment around with it, see if you can find something that works for you in terms of how it feels versus like how long it takes you to fall asleep. I'd say if you're doing it for more than 20 to 30 minutes and you're just not finishing with it, then you're probably doing it for too long. Try cutting the planet in half to see what happens. That's awesome, dude. That's fun. You can breathe in space anyway. Yeah, go ahead and cut the planet in half. Or better yet, ram it at light speed or to, like throw planets into each other by waving your arms around in space. That'd be really fun. Like, yeah, using your senses. Yeah, engaging your other senses. You have 4 other senses in sight. Like, you have hearing, you have touch, you have taste and smell. Those last 2 aren't likely to be the ones you want to engage as much, though. But you still have your ears and your hands and your feet. Well, technically, you don't technically have them. You have them only because you expect to. That's sort of how bodies and dreams work. They're just part of the dream, just like you were. But basically, you have those other senses at your disposal. Weaponize them. Use them. So yes, hello Synchronolias. Hello and welcome to the live stream. Liam Chu, what is my wild anchor? Honestly varies. I don't wild that often. Usually it's just observing, like sometimes what I'm experiencing or thoughts or anything in that nature. Sometimes I create specific thoughts in my head and use them to sort of keep me distracted from actually anticipating a transition, but also keep me engaged enough to be able to wild into a dream. If I ever get auditory hypnagogia, I have like a 90% chance of getting wild if I do that, and I use that as an anchor when I get it. I don't get it often though. My issue with wild is actually I got so good at anticipating when I would transition and knowing when that would happen that I got to the point where I was anticipating it too much and being too aware, and that was keeping me awake. And it's sort of like a seesaw for me with wild. Like there are times I won't do it for a while, and then I'll be able to go back and do some, and then I'll be like trying to do it, and I'll get really close, and I'll be oh damn, and I'll just like have failed to do it because I was anticipating it. So that's my issue. Not just with wild, you're supposed to kind of let it happen. You engage your anchor, you pay attention to it, and you just let it happen. Sort of, you're not supposed to be trying to do it. But I've used different wild anchors. I've imagined things, various scenes, rooms spinning around. Um, I can get like a little ringing in my ear if there's like no other noise around me. I've used a plethora of wild anchors in the past, and I don't always use the same ones all the time. That's my opinion on reality shifting. The second and 19th letters of the alphabet put together, one after the other, forms my opinion of reality shifting quite nicely. And if for those of you who don't know what that means, those are the letter B and S, so that would stand for BS. That's what I think about reality shifting. AFK Soul Z, I dream every day. Yes, you do, actually. 5 to 6 times a night if you're sleeping for 8 hours. You can't seem to make it lucid. Any ideas? First off, what are you practicing? Like, what practices have you done? How long have you been practicing? Lucid dreaming is a skill. This is something you develop. Like, if you were learning piano, you wouldn't start by playing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony on the piano. You would start with probably Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but you're developing your skills over time. You're developing fundamentals, finger movements, scales, being able to play chords, different types of chords, and how to move your fingers to different notes. You're developing those sort of fundamentals. Well, lucid dreaming is the same way. You have fundamentals in this case. You have your criticality, you got memory and prospective memory. You have your intention, which, well, that is prospective memory. You have awareness. So you have these sort of fundamentals that you're developing over time, and techniques are designed to help you develop these fundamentals. So this is a skill that you're learning how to do. You're literally retraining your brain to operate in a different way than you were accustomed to operating. This is what skills generally do. They get you to create different neural pathways to excel in different areas. Whether it's a sport or a game or some other thing, you're training yourself to do something when you do this. So the fact that you're getting recall every day is good. That is a great start. That puts you a step ahead of other people who aren't getting that. So I would like to know what you've done for practice. And if you're on either the Dream Cafe or OmniLucid servers, have you read any of the guides that are offered there in terms of for the different techniques? What's my anchor? I kind of answered that already, Supernova. It can be, I don't have a consistent one I use every time. I also don't wild that often. Yeah, you anticipated too much too, Synchronolist. Welcome to my boat. I put some holes in the bottom for us. We will be sinking momentarily. You anticipated too much. Honestly, yeah. I do other techniques, and then if I feel like, see, for me, wild is kind of an opportunistic thing. If I feel like, okay, I'm really relaxed right now, I might actually be able to pull this off, then I try to just pay attention to something and fall asleep quickly. For me, falling asleep quickly is the problem because I just don't. So WILD is kind of relegated to, am I awake at a time that's conducive to it? Am I awake in a certain way that's conducive to it? And it really varies for me. So yeah, maybe do another method. Like if you're getting that with WILD, like if you got good enough at it that you're anticipating a transition, you know when it's going to happen, and that's keeping you awake, like it is with me. I'd say the balance is trying to let it happen, but that's much easier to say than it is to do from my personal experience. I can say that. It's easier to say than to do, than to just submit to it, because it's this like instinctive schematic reaction that I have. It's a very instinctive reaction of anticipating a transition, immediately be hyper aware of it. That's sort of this instinctive reaction I have. And those aren't necessarily easy to train away. I've been trying for a while now. But yeah, maybe try another method, maybe do a milder on something of that nature. How often do you do reality checks? Honestly, how are you even doing them in the first place? Because reality checks should never be mindless or a habit. Reality checks, if you're doing them at all, I like to call reality checks baby criticality or beginner's criticality. Basically, you're trying to break physics. This is basically what you're doing with reality checks. You're trying to break physics. You're trying to break physics. And, if you're doing it at all, you have to be critical. You have to actually be thinking and, be in the moment and just like take a step back from what you're doing. Stop. Am I dreaming right now? Could I be? Yes. I could be dreaming any time. Think about what you've been doing. I last woke up. Okay. I got up. The phone rang. I answered it. We talked about lunch. Orange chicken. I went used the bathroom. Went downstairs. Ate lunch. My dad came downstairs. Did some stuff. I went back upstairs. Nothing was breaking physics so far. I came up here. I talked to my Alexa device. I got on this live stream. Got on Discord. Nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, so could I be dreaming right now? Well, I could be. I'm on my computer. I was on my computer in dreams last night. Well, then if you're actually going to do reality checks, if you actually pay attention to the results you're getting, be critical, understand what it means to get the different results, and consider, okay, well, I don't think I am dreaming right now. And also, if you're doing reality checks, do more than just one. Do like three different types. And then think, okay, well, if I were dreaming right now, what is it that I would do? Think about things that you might want to do in a dream if you were dreaming right now. And that's sort of the basics of a criticality practice. And that's what I recommend. And don't make it a habit. It ruins the practice if you make it a habit. David Denise Khan Kayakuklu. I do not know how to pronounce this. My apologies. With which technique should I start lucid dreaming? This is my second night. Welcome to Skyfall Black Dreamer. I do hope you're on Dream Cafe and OmniLucid. If you're not, the links are in the description below. If you aren't subscribed yet and you'd like to, get up to date with more videos, please do so. Also, as far as techniques, mild, wild, SSILD are generally the ones we recommend to beginners. We also recommend you stay with the technique for about a month minimum in terms of consistent daily practice. And also, recommend you read the FAQs and the guides that we have on offer, because there's a lot of inaccurate information on lucid dreaming, particularly on YouTube. That's one of the reasons I'm here, actually, is because of all the inaccurate info out there. So yeah, also understand that lucid dreaming is a skill. It is not something that you just get immediately. It's not, people who promise instant gratification are over promising. They're like the used car salesman, sort of like, if you're promising instant gratification, then it can happen. You can get a lucid dream on your first night. You can also buy a Powerball ticket and win $800 million. You can do that. That is something that can actually happen. The likelihood of that happening, though, is not very high. Should I oversleep? Well, it depends on what you mean by oversleep. I mean, I sleep, anywhere from 8 till 10 hours in a day. It really depends. And so you do those. Counting fingers, not necessarily a great one, honestly. When you try to put the finger thing in, the nose plug is one that I like. If you're going to do actual reality checks, or like the one that Burge and their people recommend the most is the text-based one, like looking at text, looking away, looking back, and doing that a few times. Because in dreams, that the more complex something is, the more likely it is to not be consistent and persistent, unless you purposely make it that way, and you have to actually remember what it is to do that. So, but yeah, also synchronilius. But yeah, oh, never mind. We actually discussed what you were doing earlier, technique-wise. But yeah, do more than one reality check. Do at least three of three different types, and always be critical of them. Never do them mindlessly, and never just do them in the middle of something either. Always just pause whatever you're doing if you're going to do them at all. Test one. My first lucid dream was far more lucid than all the others. Well, did you have higher memory or awareness of what you're doing? Is that what you mean? Because lucid is lucid. It's just, you have varying degrees of memory access. You remember all the things you want to do or what everything means or is, or very higher degree of awareness. Those are usually the two different things. My apologies, and my pleasure, Dennis Khan Kayakutlu. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. I was recommending like three different methods. If you're on Dream Cafe, I would go into the Lucid FAQ channel that's in the intro section. Read the beginner handbook link. That's one of the top ones. And then we have guides on mild, wild, SSILD, and VILD down below. I'd recommend reading those guides and then determining which one you want to do from there. So there's several options to choose from. And determining which is going to work the best for you is a you experiment. That is not something anyone can personally say what's going to work best for you, because you are you and we are not. It happened multiple times in one night, synchronous. I've actually done that before. And, I've had, there are some nights where I've had a dream and gone through it. And then I repeated the dream, and I had a dream, and I went through it. And I repeated the dream, and I dreamt, and I was going through it, but just with slight changes to how it went. And if you watch what I did with my words there, that's actually how some of those dreams went. I'm repeating a dream I repeat a dream with slight changes to the dream content. I repeat a dream, but the content is slightly changed. I repeat a dream, but the content isn't exactly the same as it was before. You see what I did there? That's sort of how that's gone before when I've had those experiences. And I've gotten lucid in a few of them, not all of them. I've done some weird stuff in some of them. But you got lucid initially. When you went back to bed into those dreams, repeating the dreams, were you DEILDing? Like, did you get lucid again? Bojan Rakic, or however you pronounce your name. Welcome to Skyfall Blind Dreamer. Welcome to the channel. Welcome. I hope you are on one of the Discords. If not, I recommend you join. If you are not subscribed, I would love to have you. Welcome. You're welcome back in G2. Cool. That's actually kind of cool, Synchronolius. And were you lucid when you were going back through it? I am a mild nut, test one. I'm mild all the time. In fact, I think I discussed my actual mild practice earlier, but I do it all the time. Bojan Rakic. Bojan Rakic. Bojan Rakic. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bojan Rakic. Thank you. Welcome to the live stream. Let me see how many viewers we have. Good. Without changing my tab. We're up to a glorious 5 viewers, everyone. This is a lot lower than I was hoping, but whatever. You're lucid for almost all. That's amazing. Some people just count that as one lucid, but I usually count them, like, if I notice distinct wakings, I usually count them as several. That's just my thing. I count DEILDs if I notice the wakings, because I can usually, I'm such a light sleeper, I can always tell the wakings apart, almost always. But yeah, that's awesome, Synchronolius. That's cool. That's an amazing experience. Make sure to count that and to rejoice in it. That's awesome. It's a really awesome experience. Yeah, I've had DEILD chains before. In fact, back in my 30-second lucid days, the longest DEILD chain I ever had in one night was 7 in a row, and they were all 30 seconds long. And I was just going in and out of the dream, in and out of the dream, in and out of the dream, changing locations, in and out of the dream. Oh my gosh, it was way back in the day. And when I say way back in the day, I think it was lucid 67 to 73. 8, 9, 70, 71. Yep, it was 67 to 73. I'm quite sure of it. In my lucid count. That was a long time ago, guys. That was way back in 2021. I'm at 452 now. That was a long time ago. I still remember that day. That's amazing. It's crazy. I can go back and look up the date, though, at some point. It's happening more and more often. It may be kind of odd, but it's actually kind of cool that you're actually going back in your dreams, especially if you're lucid when you're doing it, because that means you're just getting lucid more. It's actually a good thing, honestly. Now, when you do go back into the dream and you are lucid, maybe you try changing things up a bit. How you create the vividness of your lucids? Recall. First and foremost, recall. The better you remember a dream, the more vivid it is. That full stop. Usually that is the main thing about vividness is recall. Sometimes, though, you have a dream where you just aren't engaging all your senses. Engage them. Engage your sound. Engage your touch. Engage your sight better. And then in the dream itself, when you are actually lucid and in the dream and you want more detail, then create more detail. You can, use a schema for this. You can, for example, like if you're used to video games, you can like create a graphics menu and like change the graphics, or imagine things coming to sharper clarity, or put glasses on, or anything of that nature. And you can do anything like that. At the end of the day, the recall is a big part of it. How well do you remember your dreams? How much detail do you remember? And that affects vividness. Excuse me, everybody. Skyfall. How many dreams can I remember in 1 minute? Just asking. Well, there were the 7 I just recounted, where I started in my middle school, progressed through various scenes until I ended up at where my old college was, outside of a building that was turned into a giant tower across the street from where the actual tower was. And then there was a dream character there was teaching me to lay down on the sidewalk to engage my senses more, and I kept waking up and going back into that dream and thinking about it as I was doing that. And then let's see, there's Lucid Dreams 151 to 153, which happened in May of 2021. Still some of my favorites, where I was, first I was like launched out of a laundry basket into space, and I was flying around singing "I Believe I Can Fly" while I was rolling over in space. And then I got into my ship. Lucid Dream 152 began inside the ZSS Star Horizons. I exited the small recovery bay, walked down a corridor, boarded a turbolift, and kept trying to engage tactilely. Went up to deck 500, walked into a conference room. Assistant character was there as well as the captain. And I was discussing with the character, trying to stay in the dream longer and keep it going for as long as I could. And then I was trying to teleport down to compartment 100S10375022, the Lucidity Command Center, which is an out-of-character compartment I made on the ship. Initially didn't feel like we teleported anywhere, so I just decided that we were there, and I opened the compartment with my access code, and we walked inside. And then I was talking to other characters, and at the end of that dream, they gave me this sort of device that I could use to instant teleport anywhere. I would love to get that device back. The device was cool as hell, and I pressed it, and I teleported onto the deck of a cruise ship. And then I woke up after that. And then at 153, I was in my bed, and my dad comes in. And it was one of those where I was able to go back over to the place where the door I created that doesn't actually exist was. I made that door, and I saw my dad, I'm dreaming. I opened the door, I yanked him through it, and then I found an elevator in the corner. Went into this elevator. It was a Schindler, and it was supposed to be like a hydraulic elevator. And I was going to make it go up into the sky, but it opened, and it was just dark outside. I can actually see light, and I can sometimes see shapes in dreams. So I decided it was an elevator to space, but there was a field that prevented the oxygen from getting out. The spaceship docked. I opened the door again. We walked into this airlock, and it felt like crawling through a World War II era submarine. I walked up the corridors into a bridge turbolift, lucid the whole time, and passively editing, almost drifting in and out, but managing to stay in. I was deciding how things would go as they happened, letting the plot go along, but also editing things as I went along. So I decided where certain compartments were going to be, and that the ship had like 2 main corridors and then an area in the center. And since I don't like one deck ships, I created a turbolift that just went up this like pylon to the bridge, which is a really terrible ship design, but I did it because the being who ran the ship was so powerful that they don't even need a ship. They can just defend themselves with their own abilities. And so I went on the bridge and was talking to this character about what my dad represented in my dreams, because she knew I was dreaming. And then there was these like bat creatures, and my dad was like really offended why there were bats in the room. And I was like, they're only there because she allows creatures to be there. They're only there because they have permission, and asking to come aboard the ship is a mere formality, because if you're allowed to come in, it's because she wants you there. And then went back to the airlock and left. And then I called her and said she's welcome to come to the Star Horizon anytime. Went back downstairs into my house, back into my bedroom. Dad went to his TV. I walked into the hallway, jumped in the air, was floating around like you would in space with no gravity. I wasn't able to make myself move. And that's how 153 ended. You're seeing how many dreams I can recall in 1 minute. The dreams are longer than 1 minute, though, so by a long shot. Those are some of my most vividly recalled lucids. 151 to 153 are still some of the best. 370 is a really good one. I've had some great ones. Human, thank you. Welcome. Boyan Rakic, thank you. One of my 3 favorite things to do while lucid. teleport, troll dream characters, fly airplanes if they're there, explore surroundings. Well, actually, you said 3, but there are more. Fly is one of them. Break physics, just in general. Anything that breaks physics is always fun. Um, Messing around with anything that's in the environment is usually really fun. Few things. Yes, I've watched Inception. It's about 80% incorrect in terms of content. CT, welcome. Are you from Connecticut? No, I'm just kidding. So I tried. Say you tried every trick in the book just to get one so far. Nothing. You have really great recall. And Vividness, what would you recommend to do? Well, first off, what have you tried and what have you done? Also, what sources have you used? Just keep in mind, a lot of what you're going to find on YouTube CT is inaccurate and not actually helping you. So if you're getting a really bad take on, say, mild or wild, for example, that's not actually teaching you the technique or not actually telling you how it works well at all, then you're going to have issues. And I've come across people who've done that for years, and it's really unfortunate because it sort of it can be hard to practice sometimes if you've been practicing for years on something that just hasn't worked. Okay, Jacober, you're blocking out again. Oh well. But so you have good recall. So when you say you have really great recall, are you remembering like 4 or 5 dreams in a night? CT, I would love to hear your story, CT. In fact, connect with me on Discord on Dream Cafe or Lucid, and you can also find me at Skyfall #1146. I really would like to hear your story and discuss things with you in detail, actually, that I feel like I would not be able to go into enough detail here. Doing this for 3 years, and I think this is the first time we've talked. I would love to go into detail on this with you because I'd like to get an idea for where you are now and what you have actually done before, just to get a baseline for you. I'd really like to help you. Oh, sorry, Bogan. That's actually kind of cool. You realize you're dreaming. Yeah, Secret Release, that's really cool. My pleasure, CT. But yeah, I'd really love to go through your practice sometime. Yeah, I'm caught up, guys. I'm actually caught up. Wow. Nathan Hale, didn't you die in like 17, 18 something? I'm trying to think. Wasn't Nathan Hale executed by the British? I'm pretty sure Nathan Hale was actually executed by the British. So that means you would have been dead for 200 years. Hello. Also, if laying on your back and doing a mantra for 4 hours, what the heck, man? That's not even a technique. Wow. 4 hours straight. Holy crap, dude. And I don't know what you were aiming for there, but that's not actually a technique that you were doing. I am sorry that you did that. That's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that, man. It's not actually a technique, unfortunately. I don't know where you heard that from, but it was probably YouTube, unfortunately. I can see sometimes in my dreams, not always, like a little bit better than I can see now, and it's usually vague imagery. But yeah, thank you very much, human. I appreciate it. And I'm going to assume that you are actually a human. 6 people. My highest is 12. I would really love to get over that, but that's just not going to happen today, unfortunately. Nathan Hale, you're not American. Oh yeah, I was making a Nathan Hale joke, Nathan Hale, because Nathan Hale is actually one of the founding fathers who fought in the American Revolution and was executed by the British. So I was making Nathan Hale joke. So you may have heard it from somewhere else, but that's actually where the name comes from. It comes from the founding father, Nathan Hale. So the Resistance game would have gotten that from the actual founding father, Nathan Hale. It is a very American thing. Takes you hours to sleep on a normal night, like just in general. Man, so if it actually, if you're just not doing anything at all, and it seriously takes you hours to fall asleep on a normal night, please see a doctor. This is not normal. This is a medical condition. This is something that you can get help for. Please see a doctor. Hello, Echo. Echo does the thing. Hey, Echo, how you doing? 8, nice. In Lucid Dream, the environment is however you expect it to be, however you most strongly associate it with. For a lot of times in my house, because I associate my house with being very stable, my environment was always stable. Some things would be very minutely out of place, but a lot of things would be stable. That's funny. I don't recognize your name in Dream Cafe, human. So I don't recognize who you are. Some people's names are the same. Some people's are different. So your one that's different. I don't actually know who you are in there. But yeah, CT, please hit me up on Discord if you're still watching. Please do. I want to discuss this with you further. Go into the weeds a bit with you. Let's see how we are doing on time. 49:58. We are at 50 minutes, everyone. We have gone for 50 minutes. Means it's about 3:50. Computer time. My computer just not on it. Computer time.
It's 4:20 p.m.
4:20. Yep, that makes about sense. Yeah, we started at 3:30, not 3 o'clock, of course. 4:20 p.m. That is correct. Computer, lower volume to 30%. Our quides. I assume you meant our guides in Dream Cafe. Good for beginning, and yes, the guides in Dream Cafe are good for beginners. They are. Red Penguin. No spam, please. That's just a jerk move, bro. That's beneath anyone. I am doing quite well today, human. Thank you very much. Okay, Synchronilius. So sometimes I blink in a lucid dream and my eyes close, and if I try to open them back up, I wake up. But sometimes if I leave it be, I'll go back into dream. How do I change that? Schema. I mean, if you're like, for starters, if you're expecting that when you close your eyes and you try to open them that you'll wake up, that's a schema problem there for starters. Second, well let's just address this first. So that's a schema problem for starters. If you're expecting that you're going to wake up, you're associating closing your eyes and blinking and trying to open them again with waking up. Then that is something that can wake you up by association, because that's that sort of thing. You don't want that to become a schematic association. So first off, check on that. You do not want that to something that is associated. You don't want that to be a schema there. Also, engaging with the other senses is always a good thing to do. There's way more than sight in dreams. So closing your eyes shouldn't remove everything that you're experiencing. You can also just imagine what you're seeing and just reincorporate it that way. Imagine your eyes opening. You could always just do that. And imagination movement in a dream is a thing too. So you can do. There are a few things you can do. There are. Creature Vividness, you should use your 5 senses. Correct. Yes, test 1. That is exactly what you should do. Yeah, Red Penguin, you asked a very nonsensical question. I think it was meant as a joke. That is kind of spammy. Let's see. Red Penguin, can I see dead people in real life Quote, that is what you said, bro. That is actually what you said. Well, if you actually met dead people, if you can see them in a lucid dream, yeah, you can. My dead grandfather showed up in many of my non-lucids. I spawned my dead cat in a lucid 2 nights ago. And yeah, my dead grandfather got me lucid in at least 1 or 2 of my lucids. So yeah, is that. Okay. You guys know how active the lucid dreaming chat on Dream Cafe or the questions and answers and dream chat on OmniLucid are. If you see activity and people are asking questions or interested in understanding things, send them over here. We still have some time, and I'm willing to keep answering questions. And as for my practice right now, I am sitting at 453 lucid dreams, and the garage is opening. That would be my dad coming home from getting his food, of course. Okay, that's sort of what you get for living on top of the garage. You get the garage door sounds whenever the garage door opens, especially in the middle of a live stream. It's always nice. So basically, dead people in real life, you could see them in a lucid dream, and I have done this several times in non-lucids and lucids. Anyway, what are my plans right now? I have classes that I'm attending, basically 3 days a week I'm in school, and then I have schoolwork outside of those, and I have work outside of that. So I'm keeping really busy. I do have some plans for the summer, though. I am taking a day trip in April, and then in May, I'm going to see my best friend graduate from school for 9 days. And then in June, I'm probably going to take a trip with my family. And in July, as I've been telling people, I'm going to the International Dream Conference in Tucson, Arizona, sponsored by the International Association for the Study of Dreams. I'm very much looking forward to this. And I'm looking forward to their room sharing board coming out on their website. Yeah, Boyan Rakic, that is weird. Bulldog and a monkey. Yeah, that's kind of weird. What are my opinion on interacting and the ethics of interacting with dead people in lucid dreams? However you want it to be, honestly. I feel like it can be really cathartic in terms of, interacting with my dead cat has been very cathartic for me. And I really appreciate those experiences because I'll never be able to pet her ever again in real life. So I really appreciate the times where I've been able to summon her in a lucid dream, just like Spawner. The ethics are individual ethics. There are no set ethics on that. It's if it's something you're comfortable doing, do it. If it's something you're not comfortable doing, don't do it. That's the basic rule. Yeah, some people say that. I honestly don't drink apple juice at all, so hey, that's not something I really talk about. Do I do it in day practices? Occasionally. Occasionally, I'll do some like whenever I could be talking about awareness, I'll do some like spot awareness stuff or some criticality stuff occasionally. Or if something really crazy is happening, I'm gonna do some criticality, but like not a lot. I don't do day practices a lot. I did some way back in the past, like sometimes during the days, depending on the day, I may do something, but it's very much in the minority in terms of days that I do day practices. Let's see where we are. 427. All right. Let's see how mighty this audience has fallen. We're up to 9. Okay. We got 12 likes, 9 viewers. Oh, that is nice. If we get 4 more viewers, we would be really going well right now. Liam Chu, I am glad to have met you on Dream Cafe and talked to you over there. I think we talked a little bit. Trying to remember that guy who was trying to get help from me earlier around 3:15, 3:18. And I was telling him I was going to come on here, and I think he came on here. I do hope he did. I'm not sure what name he used on here. I do hope he was able to come on here and get some help. All right. Well, Boyan Rakic, I can. Also recommend you read my mild guide. Excuse me. You can find it in Lucid Dreaming, or you can find it in the Lucid FAQ channel on Dream Cafe. You can find my mild guide there. It's the one that says skyfalldreams.net. That is my mild guide. Basically, I cannot explain it in 1 minute specifically because I would not be able to do it justice. But I will give you a rough overview, and it will be longer than 1 minute just because I want to make sure I actually get the details across correctly. So you start with your intention, your decision to recognize that you're dreaming. It's a decision. It's something you're deciding to do. You're going to do that while you're dreaming. You're going to recognize that you're dreaming. You associate that intention to your dreams, and you do that by way of the rest of this practice. So while you're thinking about that intention, that decision that you've just made, you imagine a dream that you've had before. One that you remember well is best. If it's a recent one, even better. You go through that dream and just imagine that you're there in it and you're going through that dream. Look for anything that's out of place or unusual or anomalous in any way at all whatsoever. And notice these things. And every time you notice one, just remind yourself of your intention that you're going to recognize as dreaming while you're dreaming. And then once you've gone through the dream, go back to one of those dream signs, pick it, and then imagine that you did recognize that you were dreaming, that you did get lucid in that dream. And now you are lucid. Imagine what it's like. You know that is a dream. And then imagine things that you want to do in a lucid dream from the context of you just got lucid in that dream you were imagining. And do that for a little bit, and then repeat the process for about 15 to 20 minutes. Do it before bed and do it during right back to beds. My pleasure, Boyan Rakic. Lebek, hello. Welcome. I'm doing quite well, thank you very much. And I hope you are doing the same. But yeah, mild is honestly something that can't be done justice in a minute. You try to explain mild in a minute, you're going to skip something important. That's just my view on it. In order for something to really be explained well, there needs to be some time given to explaining it. Otherwise, you're going to get the very, very bare bones and probably not the best understanding of it. So why you'll never see me do shorts on this channel. I think Sensei's shorts are decent in terms of content, but they are definitely bare bones overview stuff. That's why he has a ton of them on different things, because you need multiple ones to explain different parts. And when he has his real content stuff, his streams, he's actually able to go into detail on things, and he has some proper videos where he actually goes into detail on more things. There's some times where you just really need some time to actually explain things properly. Message retracted. Okay. Well, guys, we are at 4:30 precisely. We're just over an hour. Who all here has more questions they would like answered before we end tonight? Anyone who has any questions left, please go ahead and ask them now. And then I will go through last questions, because it doesn't sound like we have a lot of questions at the moment. So if people do have questions, please go ahead and ask them now, and we will get those answered. Whenever you get a long lucid, I only recall the last 5 minutes or a small thing. Okay, are you delving when you wake up? And sometimes that happens with me with long lucids, though I don't recall all of it. Thinking about it sometimes can really help, or delving immediately with it as soon as you wake up. Some people actually break their lucids up intentionally just to help them remember them, but they wake up after they've done something they really want to remember. But you just remember the last 5 minutes. If you're getting a long lucid, 5 minutes is how long a lot of mine are. But you're getting lucids that are a lot longer than that. That's amazing, man. That's really awesome, Gamer Bath. That's awesome, bro. Just saying. That's really cool. I would love to have those. Only railed. What? Last time only railed. Well, I'm glad you're back to nightly lucids. That is awesome. You've got 100 lucids. That's even better. That is awesome, my friend. That's awesome. Memorial site of Claude Rifford. I have never heard of him. I came across lucid dreaming when I ran into some of the misinfo stuff on YouTube. And then I came across Stephen LaBerge, who actually invented the MILD technique, and I came across Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming. In fact, I started practicing on Thursday, October 15th of 2020. And 2 days later, I purchased Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming by Dr. Stephen LaBerge, started reading it. That changed my outlook. Until then, I'd only ever heard stuff on YouTube. Not a good place to learn about lucid dreaming, because YouTube gets a lot of stuff wrong in terms of lucid dreaming. And the reason for that is lucid dreaming itself is an understudied field. And YouTube is a platform that promotes overview content. What I mean by that is, if you have a channel that is just overviewing a specific subject, they're not going to do a deep dive in terms of research. Like if you're going to make a video on, say, a lucid dreaming method, you're probably going to maybe Google it or look at what other people said versus reading an entire book on it. Like if you're going to make a 5-minute video, you're probably not going to go read all of Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming to make a 5-minute video on lucid dreaming. That would be inefficient. The YouTube platform promotes the sort of overview sort of mentality and limited research. So you get this sort of telephone game, basically. As someone starts spreading something, they misinterpret what they've read. Or, for example, a lot of the false info comes from misinterpreting Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming. Someone misinterprets part of the book, and then they spread that misinterpretation online. Then other people pick it up, and other people spread it online. And then other people are doing research on the topic, and they find what other people have spread online, and they spread it. That is how this happens. And as a platform, YouTube is sort of designed for overview content. It's not really a deep dive research platform. There are some channels that actually do research topics, that do documentary level content. Like we're talking 1.5-hour long content, primary sources. Those are good. I used one of those for an SR71 paper I wrote a while ago. And these people actually did their research. They interviewed SR71 pilots. They had primary sources and documents, actual mission law, like actual mission stuff, the stuff that wasn't classified. They actually did a deep dive into this stuff. And it was an 1.5-hour video, because that's what you get in an 1.5 hours. And you get actual research. That's the documentary level content. That's in the minority on YouTube. But also what you're going to find is overview content, maybe some 5, 10, 15-minute videos. maybe a 15-minute video on all of lucid dreaming, and you're going to get very overview level in terms of research too. And since it's an understudied field, there's not a ton of data just out there waiting to be grabbed by people because it's understudied. So people are going to tend to gravitate towards what has the most views or what has the most shares or likes on something. And if you're doing minimal research on a concept, you're just going to take it and run with it. And sometimes that works really well if it's a really well-established scientific concept, like, for example, basic Newtonian physics. You want to make a video on Newtonian physics, all right? You do very basic research on Newtonian physics, and then you make a video on Newtonian physics. Lucid dreaming is an understudied field. So if you try to do basic research on lucid dreaming, there aren't a ton of sources out there, and at least accurate sources. There aren't a lot. So it's a lot tougher to do that. And that's sort of one of the issues. So anyway, I read this book. I'm sorry for the rant there, but I read Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming there. And that got me questioning what I had heard previously. And that actually got me to start wondering, okay, so what people are telling me was mild, and what the person who made it is saying are totally different and incompatible with each other. How do I reconcile this? So I started asking people, and no one on Dream Cafe at the time had an answer. This was the Wild West of Dream Cafe. This was October of 2020. This was right in the middle of the pandemic. The Wild West of lucid dreaming on Discord. And I finally got an answer. It was Sensei who answered me. Sensei, if you ever hear this, because it's an hour into a live stream, thank you for watching so far. He taught me. I actually was one of the first people to actually send me guides and things, and he actually had experience with it, like a lot of experience, and was able to direct me on the right place and teach me. He taught me what intention was. He taught me what a lot of this stuff was. And I owe him a debt of gratitude for all that he has taught me. And I intend to do the same for others. And is life hard when I'm blind? And there's some uncommon problems that are there. Yeah, like driving kind of sucks when you live in a place where you have to drive to get places and you can't see to drive. I'll never be issued a driver's license, just as a matter of course. And that means in order to live in an actual area that I could afford to, like if I were to live on my own, I would either have to pay a lot of money for people to drive me places, or I'd have to pay a lot of money to live in a place where I could use public transportation, because cities tend to be more expensive to live in. So that would be one of the main problems. But certain parts of life are harder than others. I'm actually really good at traveling and really good at getting around and handling the day-to-day on that side. There are some things that are harder, like, determining if, what I'm wearing is appropriate colors, for example, could be difficult. That's why I don't tend to wear a lot aside from specific sets of stuff that I can wear together regardless. So that's just some things. Ouch, gamer bath. That hurts. Also, delving, like delving too. Like if you wake up from an LD, think about it. Just keep your mind thinking about it. I woke up from surgery today, and I delved immediately after this phone call I got, so I could keep them in my mind. And I got several dreams from that, and then I was able to actually make some sense out of them. My thoughts on time dilation. Some people have had various experiences from it. It's basically either experiencing things at a very rapid pace in terms of, instead of doing X for 5 minutes, you do X for 30 seconds, and then you do a lot more things, and it feels like you've done a lot more. Or you're creating false memories of actually having done things that you didn't physically do. You just created memories of them. It varies, honestly. Aiden Johnson, no thank you for the spam there, remember? If you wake up from wake back to bed, if you need to use the restroom, human, do it. Otherwise, just mild and go back to bed. What do I do when I teleport to a fantasy world? I don't usually teleport to fantasy worlds. I teleport to sci-fi worlds. I usually try to teleport to my starship, Star Horizons. Most of the times it's been in the Lucidity Command Center compartment that I mentioned earlier. I've operated around like just non-fantasy fiction worlds, but just like, real world, but with random crap happening. I've just sort of teleported around. It just varies. I've teleported to, I was in Washington, D.C. once. And I was like, I wasn't actually able to visit this particular building I wanted to go to last time I was there. So why don't I invent the place in my own mind and visit it in a lucid dream? And I did that. And then I invented, and I was like, well, next time I go to DC, I won't be able to ride their 7000 series rail cars because they're out of service right now. So why don't I create one right now? And boom, I teleported to the yellow line and put myself on one of those chains and made it run. So I've done a few things like that too. It's really fun. Lebec, I am 25. Have a good one, Boyan Rakic. something in a lucid dream you can do to remember it better. You can decide that you're going to remember it better. Also, thinking about what you've done when you wake up is a really great thing to do. The moment you wake up, thinking about what you just did, going over it in your mind. The more you think about it, the more you trace those connections, the stronger those connections become. And then once you've thought about it, immediately noting down what you've been able to think about and remember. That's what I recommend. Yeah, I went on sort of a whole rant there for a minute, guys. So apologies for that, but I felt like I needed to flush out a couple of concepts there, particularly in terms of information and how I learned things. I felt like that was important to share. Yeah, Nathan Hale. Sorry, that all stemmed from that one question. I do not know who that person was. Apologies. I also don't know where you learned from, but apologies on that. I do hope you are doing well. Thank you, CT. I will get to you on Discord as soon as I'm done with the stream, actually. Have a good one. Thank you for watching. I think I'm going to be ending the stream in the next few minutes. If you have final questions, please send them in. I'm going to... Oh, yes, we're up to 7 again. Okay, cool. We have 15 likes, 7 viewers, 110.34. We're over an hour and 10 minutes. All right. Well, GamerBath, do you have any more questions for me, GamerBath, while you're here? Do you have anything you'd like to respond to, or any other questions about things that I've said to you in terms of how to deal with your recall in terms of those long lucids that you get, which are really, really awesome, by the way. I'd love to get those. So if you have any questions about that, that'd be cool. Also, if anyone else has any questions before we finish, they are welcome. Slow mode is 45 seconds. So I'll give about, let's say, a minute and a half for people to start sending in some questions. And basically, as we get ready to close out, for those of you who are joined, if you're not subscribed to Skyfall Blind Dreamer and would like to be subscribed and to get updates when I post things, please do so. I would really appreciate it. If you have found the content helpful, if you have watched this later, or if you're with me right now and you found this content helpful to you, please hit that like button. I would appreciate that as well. Thank you very much. And if you are not a member of Dream Cafe or OmniLucid Discord servers, where we discuss lucid dreaming and we help teach people how to lucid dream and have communities for that specific purpose, I would recommend you join those. OmniLucid tends to be for a more mature audience and is also less active. Dream Cafe is a younger audience and is more active. So, pick whichever one you want, or just join both. I don't really care which one you do, but just join both of them. You can find me on there, send me some messages. If you got any questions, let me know. I'm glad to help folks. Have a good one, human. My thoughts on dream layering, it doesn't actually exist. It's just changing dream scenes. That's literally what dream layering is. It's just changing dream scenes. But anyway, human, you can also shoot me messages on Discord sometime tomorrow. Have a good night. I wish you the best. Glad I could get some European folks on. How to break schemas, maybe teleportation to a fantasy world. Unsuccessful. Might be. It could be. Honestly, since it's something that you're just practicing doing and you haven't actually done before, actually practice what do you want it to look and feel like when you do it, okay? So, this is what mild is good for iPlays. This is what one of the things you can do with mild. So when you're imagining what you want to do in a lucid dream, you actually practice that schema. You actually get an idea for what it wants to be. You're creating it. You're making it. You can also just do this in your imagination. You can imagine, okay, so I want to get to this teleportation thing. All right. So how do I want it to look and feel like, or to act like? Where do I want to ultimately end up? What kind of environment do I want to be in? And you can imagine that. You can sort of make that happen that way in your imagination. Imagine what it would look and feel like to a point where you expect that to happen that way when you do it in a dream. That's something I'd recommend. Join in the stream. You'll shoot me with the water pistol of death. Uwagami. Hello. Konnichiwa. Uwagami. Hello. Do I have a few tips for WILD? You can't seem to make it work. Yes. First off, make sure you've read the WILD guide if you haven't done so in the Lucid FAQ or resources channel on whether you're Dream Cafe or on Lucid. Second, you're not supposed to be trying to do WILD. You're supposed to be just setting it up and paying attention to your anchor and then letting it happen. My biggest issue has been anticipating it. So I recommend just setting it up and then just sort of trying to fall asleep. Not really trying to fall asleep, but just letting it happen. Just go to bed like you would normally, but just with some attention on that anchor to keep your mind active as you fall asleep. And basically just let it happen. If you're staying awake for, if you're awake for longer than it would normally take you at that time to fall asleep, then you're paying too much attention to your anchor. If you fall asleep really quickly and you're not lucid, then you pay too little attention to it. That's sort of how WILD works. The balance would mean if you're failing consistently, but if you're failing a lot, but it's on both ends of failing, like you're falling asleep too quickly and not being lucid, or you're staying awake too long. Like if it's balancing on that, then you're close to it. Sort of, it's a balancing act. While this is a balancing act, it's balancing your awareness and sleep. Yes, spikes that we do mal. Drill it, iPlays. Drill those schema building exercise. Have a good one, Jacover. See you tonight. I think Naya might actually join VC tonight. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Well, guys, I'd like to thank you all for attending the 8th Lucid Dreaming Q&A with Skyfall Blind Dreamer. If you would like to ask a question here and you have not had a chance to do so, please do so in the comment section and I will reply to them. Thank you, everyone. See you, iPlays. See you, everyone. Thank you so much. And for all of you, whoever and wherever you may be, this has been Skyfall Blind Dreamer. And I wish you all a good day.